Hello everybody, happy dot day. Michael Saylor bought more Bitcoin for us MSTR holders, and also auspicious day today because we crossed 110 back. We gained back the 110. Probably lose it again tonight when Binance does their usual shenanigan, but it's very happy to see Bitcoin go back 110. I mean, it broke 110. Come on, that was crazy. That was bad. So anyways, we're back. Bitcoin is back a little bit. I'm enjoying it this Sunday. We'll see tonight. Before I talk about MSTR, I just want to do a few notes. You know, a lot of people are very stressed out about the price of the common because most people look at the next few weeks, even if they own common equity, even folks who own equity, you know, you look at the next few weeks, you remember the value of the stock a month ago, and so you're upset. Long term is the only thing that matters, but we are psychological beings, and so it doesn't work like that for us. Anyways, point is, for MSTR to rise again and get back near all-time highs, Bitcoin needs to, quote unquote, I don't like this word, but I'm going to use it, pump. Bitcoin needs to pump again for Bitcoin treasury companies to make a comeback. The best of these companies being, of course, MSTR, channel's favorite stock, the channel's favorite stock. Of course, tonight, don't be surprised, Binance flush, the usual, Bitcoin could drop again. This upcoming week, the third of the upcoming week, in my view, will be the government shutdown over the subsidies, the Obamacare subsidies. That's, I don't really know, happens every 6 months. Perhaps every year, doesn't really matter, but feels of a government shutdown. That's going to be, I think, the tempo of the week. But remember, and of course, many of us expected Bitcoin to be much higher right now. But remember that the more we wait, the more we apply pressure to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like a coil spring, and the more pressure you add against that spring, the more explosive the pop is going to be on Bitcoin. And MSTR, even though we've had an AV compression, as I've documented it, that NAV compression hasn't been too swift, hasn't been nearly as swift as some of the other BTC treasury companies. Yeah, we were at like a 1.39 or something. Yeah, it dropped just a teeny tiny bit. To me, it's been holding up pretty good. And you know, eventually it will bounce back. I just don't know when that's going to be. And another thing is I want to point that out. I don't use these metrics a lot. I'm not a trader. I'm a long-term investor. But you know, with this channel, I make commentary on MSTR. So it's true that crypto is very fearful right now. We are in the fear middle ground. If you look at middle ground fear, 34. That's well into the fear, right? So we are in the fear category. Well, not well, but, you know, we were at 32 yesterday. We're in the fear category. So what's going on with the fear? You know, sometimes you can see the fear. If you look at in July of 24, every time we had fear, that we never really got to extreme fear. We bounced back from fear really, really high. The only moment where the fear was so bad was for the tariff madness, the April, tariff, the news madness. The news made it so bad back in April. That's when we get into extreme fear. We are in fear territory. This is healthy. This is a compression of the Bitcoin price. The longer we stay in this range, the bigger the pop. And like I always say, this is only a problem if you have options expiring in the next few weeks. Then that's a problem. And that's probably the reason, by the way, why Bitcoin didn't do too well either. The options really played a role. Expiry options on Friday, and then the PCE and the fake CNN report. There was like a fake CNN report in the morning or something like that. Anyways, on Thursday, triggered a cascade of liquidations. Created the fear. The fear is what created the liquidations. I'm excited for Q4. I think Bitcoin will be higher in Q4. But if it's not higher in Q4, I don't care, because I'm not planning on selling the stock anytime soon, if ever. The plan for MSTR and me is to borrow against MSTR at some point, someday, one day. Perhaps you could even own your MSTR shares in your broker and they'll pay you interest on it because you can lend it, right? Like Robinhood already does on so many stocks. Anyway, Saylor bought more. He likely bought in the beginning of a week, if you ask me. If you look at the MSTR price, we had a good 2 days. Monday and Tuesday was good. It was just fine. It's really that dump on Thursday, Friday that really took strategy down way more than Bitcoin. But strategy roughly behaved in line. Like, it roughly behaved in line, right? You know, the first day drop, the 6.9% first day drop of strategy was in line with the fact that Bitcoin dropped nearly 4%. That was to be expected. And we bounced back quite a bit on Friday when Bitcoin didn't move. So again, we see a little bit of NAV compression, but not too much. But my point is, I don't think Saylor would have been selling Thursday, or even Friday for that matter. In my view, Saylor likely sold the issued common ATM on Monday and on Tuesday. And so we'll see this. There's really no way to say which day he issues ATM. I mean, some people look at the charts and TradingView and they think they can see it. But there's really no way to say. The point is, we'll see with the buy price, right? If he bought Bitcoin at 112, he likely did that on Monday/Tuesday. And that's fine by me, but get ready for more narratives. Oh, the price dropped because Saylor ATM'd. Well, guess what? You have no way to know that, because Saylor may have ATM'd on Monday. And in which case, the price didn't really drop, did it? So anyways, always be stacking is his message. He's always going to stack. And if he doesn't do ATM, he's going to do the preferreds. And the preferreds are what I want to conclude this video on. The preferreds, in my view right now, they're literally one of the most interesting thing in the market. They're definitely the most interesting IPOs out there. I mean, you may have seen my tweets. I tried to get into a figure IPO. I got one share. So it's entirely ridiculous. Anyways, these IPOs were extremely successful, and people have been able to have access to these IPOs, and there hasn't been any precipitous crash in these preferred. In fact, they've held up so well. You can see STRD, they're essentially flat, just slightly down. Same for STRF, essentially flat, just slightly down. While MSTR was down a little bit, but -8, let's round it up to -9%. That's nothing in Bitcoin land. That's nothing in growth land. This drop is not even felt in Bitcoin and hyper growth land. I want to point out that I find some of these very compelling. Few things about the preferreds. So first of all, I don't really understand STRF. Like, why would you want to buy STRF? If you believe in Bitcoin, right? If you believe in Bitcoin, why would you want to buy STRF? I mean, I guess some institutions would want to buy it. But if you have a strong belief in Bitcoin, you don't think there's going to be a collapse. You don't think this is a house of cards. So STRF, I don't see a reason. Strike, I don't understand why Strike was so unfairly sold off, -7.7%. So Strike right now yields as much as STRF. And the big difference is that you get, well, $30.90 of intrinsic value in the form of strategy in Strike, right? Because Strike turns into a call option for 10 shares, turns into a call option whenever MSTR reaches $1,000. So you have that intrinsic value over the long term. If you're a long-term thinker, over the long term, you gotta realize that you have about $30 worth of strategy call option value in that stock right now. Because when strategy is at $1,000, you will have $100 of value in strategy shares in the Strike stock. So as soon as strategy hits $1,000, expect a major re-rating in the price of Strike, in my view, because then that yield, I mean, you're essentially earning 9.1% on 88 minus 30. Right, that's where you're earning that. I mean that's pretty crazy, right? So you're essentially paying, $58 is what you're paying essentially, because you have $30 of intrinsic value on Strike, $30 of intrinsic value, which is what they will be convertible at when MSTR reaches $1,000, which if you were ever looking at those, you think that's going to happen. So I like Strike very much, and I own Strike. Stretch, of course, I understand the purpose of Stretch. Remember that Stretch will eventually hit $99. If it doesn't happen this month, next month we're gonna get another update, and he's gonna raise the yield again next month. So eventually, Stretch will be ATM away and will reach $99. I understand the purpose of Stretch. I call it a big stable coin. It's going to be a big stable coin trading at roughly $100 plus or minus $1, right? Very similar to a USDC trading at $1 plus or minus 1 cent. Very similar on TradFi rails. I understand the purpose, but I don't want to own any cash, even if that cash yields 10%. I'd much rather earn 1% less and have $30, $31 of intrinsic value in the form of that call option in Strike. So Strike is the most interesting. And Stride, I guess I understand Stride if you're a retiree. If you're a retiree, Stride makes a lot of sense. If you're in your 70s, let's assume you don't have an heir or anything like that, and you're a retiree and you're in your 70s and you're looking at like another 15 years of life expectancy or something, like it makes a lot of sense for you to get that extra 3%. So all of these have a purpose, right? Strife, I guess if you're an institution, I get it, but to an investor, if you don't believe it's an house of cards, any institution who looks at that who doesn't trust it, I think they're less likely to be interested. Anyways, we'll see. In my view, these preferreds are going to get an insane word of mouth at some point. I don't see how word of mouth on these doesn't get out, because they're great for retirees, they're great for FIRE folks, financial independence, retire early folks, big community online, and they're also great for people who are into growth, like me, because really Strike, gives you that $30 worth of MSTR embedded in it. So I find them so compelling, and it got me thinking as to investing in various investing communities are very loud about their stocks, right? Perhaps one of the stocks that has gotten so much praise is a REIT called Realty Income. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Realty Income has gotten so much praise among retirees, right? And if you look at Realty Income, and they've gotten praise, by the way, because they pay a monthly. They send a monthly check, just like Stretch. Stretch is the same way, sending a monthly. It doesn't make a difference if you're paid quarterly or monthly, but some people, for some reason, really like a monthly check. So anyways, the point is 5.36% is what you're getting. 5.36% is what you're getting on O, which is a triple net lease realty income. And what do we know about commercial centers and strip malls in America? What's happening to Starbucks? Isn't Starbucks closing 10% of the stores? I'm sure Realty Income owns a lot of these physical stores, right? I mean, to me, it's risky. To me, this is not risk-free. This is risky. These REITs are, they are leveraged, and you're making a bet, and sure, O is perhaps the most diversified of them all, perhaps. But to me, this is pretty risky stuff compared to, frankly, just about any of these, which are built on Bitcoin. Unencumbered Bitcoin, right? Which is also something that you may not get in all REITs. O is fine, but some REITs, unfortunately, they have an encumbered asset, which means like there's debt on it. So it's like if there's an issue, the building goes to the creditor. So anyways, so you look at communities in income investing, how loud they are about O, how loud they are about VNQ, for example, the Vanguard real estate one. That's a big we're very loud about. How loud they are about. There's a few other ones, like Pepsi, for example. Pepsi is loved by dividend investors. I don't see how these preferreds over time, over the years, I don't see how they don't get a word of mouth. They will get the word of mouth, and I also wonder if they could be advertised in some way. If maybe Saylor could advertise and do that. I don't think you can because of securities rules and securities laws. But who knows how that's going to change with the bills that are in Congress and all of that. So anyways, to me, that's all very interesting, and word of mouth is going to build on this at some point. To me, and I'm sure ATM'd some of the preferred this week as well. I'm not so sure he did the common. He may have not done the common, but I'm pretty sure he did the ATM. So I look forward to reporting on this in a brief video tomorrow. This was not financial advice. This is not investment advice on this channel. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.